Good evening. This is Allison Grubb, Director of Student Financial Services at Geneva College. Thanks so much for joining us tonight to learn how to pay your bill. We know that that can be one of the more challenging or stressful parts of the college journey, so we hope that our time together over the next half hour, 45 minutes is helpful in allowing you to know what to expect and maybe to give you some ideas on things that may help your student or family navigate this process and manage it well. So we found that when students are well informed and know what to expect, that helps take some of the stress away. So we hope that this helps in that. And like I said, I don't think the webinar will last a full hour, but we will take questions. So if you can view the chat menu on the side of your screen, you should be able to ask questions. If you're having trouble hearing me or seeing the screen, please let me know, and we'll go ahead and get started in the next minute or so. Thank you. Okay, thanks so much for logging in, and for those of you who have confirmed that you can hear me, we appreciate that. All right, well, let's get started. The first thing that may be helpful for you to be aware of is if you have to jump off tonight or get distracted or didn't touch something and want to hear things again, a recording of this webinar and the PowerPoint slides will be available on our website in the next couple of days. So feel free to go to geneva.edu/webinars and you'll be able to download the recording there and listen to it at any time. The Student Financial Services Office at Geneva is a team of 6 people who are here to help answer your billing questions, help with financial aid processing, and handle student payments. We work with students in all programs, and in addition to offering those ongoing services, we do a lot of education for students. Our personal finance series covers topics like budgeting, financial stewardship, saving, loan repayment, and that's generally held in the spring. So we would love for your students to participate in that. We also offer FAFSA workshops to help families file the FAFSA, which is the application for financial aid, and several other outreach events throughout the year. So we communicate those to students by email so they can watch their email and be informed. In addition, students can always stop down and talk with us. We're on the lower level of Alexander Hall inside admissions. We would love to meet them directly. We're happy to help with any questions or issues that they have. We can be reached by phone or by email. And if we're not in the office, if it's evening or a weekend and you're concerned about the bill or the financial aid status, you can access those records in real time 24/7 online. So we have 2 portals. One is called My Geneva Aid, and that's where they accept financial aid and finalize documents that are needed. And we also have My Geneva, which is where a student would view their student account, set up a payment plan, but also handle things like applying for a parking permit, registering for classes, and really anything else related to their life and work here at Geneva. So over the next few minutes, we're going to talk about how to finalize financial aid, how to view the e-bill and the student account, adding an authorized party and what that means, some payment options, what you might need to know about student health insurance, some important dates to add to your phone or to your calendar to make sure you plan ahead for the coming year, a credit balance, what that is and how to manage that, what you might need to know about purchasing books before the fall semester starts, and some tax information, including the 1098-T form that Geneva will provide to eligible students for tax purposes. So kind of a general overview of some important things that you might be wondering about related to finances and college. We'll only scratch the surface tonight, so hopefully this will be a good start. And again, as you have follow-up questions, feel free to enter them in the chat window, and we will answer them as we can at the end. If there's something that we don't cover and you have follow-up questions, feel free to email or call. We're here from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, so we will get started. The reason that we're holding this webinar now is because the first fall e-bill will be sent out at the end of the month, which is actually next week. So the students need to watch their Geneva email account, and if they're registered for classes, they should receive an e-bill if they will have a balance due for the fall semester. So it's important to be prepared for that, and that's our hope tonight, to walk through that process so that you and your students can be prepared. The first step in preparing for that is to accept any financial aid that's been offered. So if you were awarded financial aid or we need documents from you, you should have heard from us probably by email several times or phone calls, but it's best to log into the financial aid portal just to view, is all of your aid accepted and do we need any more documents? That portal is finaid.geneva.edu. And again, you can access that at any time with the student ID number and the password that you would have set up. It's important to also notify us of any private or outside scholarships that you expect to receive. So many new freshmen are receiving scholarships maybe through their high school or a parent's employer or the Rotary Club. You do need to notify us of the scholarship name and the amount and when you expect that to come in, and that way we can add it to your financial aid award. Those scholarships can affect your eligibility for loans or other grants. Generally, they don't have a negative impact unless they're a large amount, but you are required to report any outside scholarships that you expect to receive, and you can do that by email or by faxing or mailing a scholarship letter to us. If your family has had special circumstances, so things like the loss of a job or the death of a wage earner since 2016, that wouldn't be recorded on your FAFSA. So it's important to notify us to let us know how your situation has changed, and we can see if financial aid eligibility may change as well. The best way to start that process is to print the appeal form that's listed on our website or call our office, and we'd be happy to send it to you or discuss your circumstances in more detail. One other common question that comes up is families sometimes say, I don't want to accept my aid yet because I'm not sure if I'll need my loans. And we really encourage students to borrow as little as possible, but it's time to make a decision and either accept or decline the loans, and then we can change them at any time. So we can reduce them, I should say, at any time. If a student accepts loans and then later finds that they don't need them, we can always reduce them. The direct student loans, if you say that you don't want them now, but then you find later in the year you need them, we can add those back as well. So again, direct loan changes can be made at any time. And so we'd encourage students to accept or decline them now and then inform us of changes later on. And this is a screenshot of the financial aid portal. So hopefully that looks familiar to you. Students log in over here with their student ID number, like I said, and security requirements are in place that require a student to change their password regularly. So if you have any trouble logging in, click on this Forgot Your Password link, and it can be reset, or give us a call and we're happy to help you. So again, the first e-bill will go out in the next week or so, and that bill will only be correct if you're registered for your classes and all of your financial aid is finalized. So it's important to look at that this week, ensure that you're registered and that your aid is finalized. Have you accepted it, and are we waiting for any other documents? And again, that financial aid portal is where you can check on that. Okay, so the next step is to watch for that e-bill notification. So we will send that to the Geneva email account. It's important that students watch for that, and if the parent is going to pay the bill or be involved in that, the student and the parent could log in together, or the student could forward the email to the parent. But it's important to know that the My Geneva login where the student will go to set up their student account and access it, uses their student credentials. So it's the student's responsibility ultimately to watch for that notification in their email, to manage their e-bills, to set up their payment plan, to check the balance on their account, and to manage their student choice refunds. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. But the key here is to watch the Geneva student email account. And if you're having trouble accessing your account and you're a new student, feel free to talk with your admissions counselor, or returning students can always talk with the tech services help desk. And I believe their email address is helpdesk@geneva.edu. They can help with email account issues to ensure that you're able to access that and see when you have a notification. So once you've received that notification and you go to My Geneva, you'll go to the Student Information tab and you'll see the Student Financial Services button. You'll then go to your Nelnet student account, and we use a third-party Nelnet company to process billing, and so that's where that Nelnet name comes from. It'll ask you to verify your contact information and complete security questions, and then you'll be able to move on from there. Again, you won't have the ability to set up this account until you're registered and billed at the end of the month. So if you go there now, it's probably not going to let you log in. You need to be registered and billed, which happens at the end of the month. So again, just watch for that Geneva email and it'll give you instructions from there. This is a screenshot of what it will look like on My Geneva. This might be a little different because this is my screenshot, but basically students log in at the top and then we'll look for that Student Financial Services button and can go from there. This is part of what they'll see after they click on that button. This is another link to the financial aid portal, and then to click on, my account balances and Nelnet, this is where they see their student account information. So just to clarify, there are two separate portals, the financial aid portal and the student account portal, but both can be accessed through My Geneva. Okay, so many of you students have parents that are helping you through this process, or maybe grandparents or a guardian or a spouse. If you want someone else to receive that e-bill notification or to be able to make online payments to your account, it's important that you add them as an authorized party. So you'll be able to do that once you receive that e-bill notification. You can log into your Nelnet account and add whoever you'd like, and they'll be able to receive the notifications and make payments and access your account as well. So the fall e-bill, although the first one will be sent out at the end of the month, isn't due until August 10th for the fall semester. So we will bill you for the fall semester now, and then the spring semester later, and we'll talk about that timeline. But again, the fall bill is due by August 10th, and you have several options. You could pay it out of pocket all at once, or you can enroll in our payment plan. The payment plan is interest-free, and if you sign up in July, you can enroll for the 5-month plan, which would allow you to pay any outstanding balance on a monthly basis between July and November. Again, the deadline for that is July 20th, and you sign up directly through the student account. So again, watching your Geneva email for that e-bill notification, and then logging in, viewing the account, and there'll be a button that you can enroll in the payment plan directly on that account. We don't set up payment plans directly through our office, so anyone who wishes to enroll in a payment plan needs to do so through their student account. For anyone who is kind of late in getting registered or decides later on to sign up for the payment plan, there is a 4-month option, and that's open until August 10th, but that does require a 10% down payment. So again, you have the option of paying over 4 months or 5 months for the fall semester if you enroll in the payment plan, and there is a $25 enrollment fee per semester, but the plan itself is interest-free. So this is a great option for families who maybe want to pay out of pocket, or maybe pay part of the balance out of pocket rather than applying for additional loans and accruing interest and paying thousands more, over the life of the loan. This interest-free payment plan may help spread things out a little bit. Some other options as far as payment goes, you can mail a check or money order to our office. You can pay by cash or by check in our office during business hours. You can transfer funds electronically from a bank account through the Nelnet student account portal. So again, when you get your e-bill and you log in and you click on make a payment, that will be one of the options. Transferring funds from a bank account is free. There are no fees. But if you choose to use a credit card or a debit card to make a payment through My Geneva, there is a convenience fee of 2.75%. So again, these are all the payment options that we offer, and all of this is outlined on our website. So if you're later on deciding how to make a payment, feel free to review that, and it gives a lot more detail. But hopefully that's a good overview of how you can pay the balance for the fall. For those of you who maybe can't afford to pay out of pocket or are considering other loan options, we would remind you to apply for any additional loans for the full year balance. So instead of applying for just what you need for the fall and then later applying for another loan in the spring, it's important to apply for what you need for the full year. And there are a few reasons for that. One, it's easier for you. You only apply for one loan and only have to go through that process once. It means the lender would only run one credit check for the year rather than two. And then later on, your student or you are only, or the parent are only repaying one additional loan for the year rather than two separate loans. If you're unsure what the balance may look like for the full year, since this e-bill will only be for the fall semester, feel free to let us know and we're happy to estimate that for you. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you do apply for additional loans and maybe find out about an additional scholarship later, or maybe your student is able to work and save money and can afford to pay out of pocket later on, we can always reduce those loans. So know that it's best to apply for the full year now, and then we can reduce things later on if needed. So you have a few options if you are looking for additional loans for the coming year. The first option would be the Direct Parent Plus loan. That loan is through the federal government in the parent's name. It has a fixed interest rate of just over 7% and a fee that's just over 4%. Families or parents who don't have adverse credit are generally approved, and you would apply online directly through the studentloans.gov website if you wish to borrow that loan. Again, it's always in the parent's name and it can never be transferred to the student's name. And so that is one option that you could consider. The other options are called private loans, and those can be applied for through banks or credit unions. They're all credit-based, so a student who applies would likely not be approved on their own. They would need a credit-worthy cosigner, and a parent who applies and has eligible credit may be approved. So these are three options that are available. It's important to consider them carefully. All of them will accrue interest from the time the loan disperses until it's paid off, even though they don't require repayment while the student is in school. There's a chart on our website, and we'll also post it to the webinar page for your reference later that compares these three options. And we have additional resources on our website. So more information about how to compare loan options and what to consider when you're applying with different lenders. So feel free to review our website, geneva.edu/FA. You'd want to go to the traditional student section and scroll down under the loan options on that traditional undergrad student page. The other item I wanted to mention about loan options, some families can pay part of the balance, but know that maybe they can't enroll for the payment plan for the full balance. You can combine payment plans and loans. So let's say I owe $10,000 for the year, and I know that I can afford to pay $5,000 out of pocket. I would apply for an additional loan for $5,000 and get that in place now so that my bill will show a remaining balance of the other $5,000, and then I would enroll in the payment plan on my student account. So it's important to have the loan in place first, and then you can sign up for the payment plan for the remaining balance. And again, if you have questions about these options or want to talk through the pros and cons of each one or what might be best for your family, the Student Financial Services team is happy to do that with you. So feel free to call or email if there's any questions. I wanted to show you too some of the screenshots. So if you're considering the Parent Plus loan, the parent would need to go to this parent borrower section and complete a PLUS loan application and promissory note. And then that information does come directly to the school, and we are notified if you're approved or denied, and we'll reach out to you from there. If you decide to apply for private loans, you can either go to your own bank or credit union or consider anything that you've heard about. But if you need a place to start, we've researched private lenders who our students have used in the past and who we know have competitive terms and interest rates and good customer service. And so this Select website will list those lenders for you and show you what each lender offers and how to apply. All of the loan applications are done online, and then the lenders notify us if you're approved or denied at the end of that. Families often ask, how can I get the best interest rate, or which lender should I go with? And it's important to know that all of the lenders look at credit history, so the credit history of the borrower and any cosigner. And so if it were me, I would probably apply with 2 or 3 different lenders within a 30-day period and see where I get the best rate. So you don't know what the interest rate will be until you actually apply, but applying doesn't obligate you to take the loan either. So it's important to do your research and know what you're going to pay in the long run and consider those loans carefully. I'll mention this later, but I wanted to take a minute now. If you are considering loan options, we're going to have another webinar on Tuesday, July 10th at 7 p.m. And you will be able to log in again just like this and learn more about loan options. So we'll talk in a lot more detail about the PLUS loan that parents can borrow or private loans that students or parents can borrow, what to consider, how the interest works, how to compare them, and a lot of other details related to loan options. So if you are considering additional loans, mark your calendar for that. And if you can't attend, we will record that webinar as well. Okay, so other ideas to pay the bill, in addition to the payment plan and to the loans that we've mentioned, Geneva offers a church match scholarship program. This is independent of any denominational affiliation, so any student who has a church that's willing to support them and provide a scholarship is eligible. There's a form on our website, the Geneva Church Match Scholarship Form, that you can enter that in the search box, and it should pull that up. That form and the check from the church is due before classes begin in the fall. And if we receive that, Geneva will match it up to $250 per semester. So for example, if my church gives me $500 for school this year and sends the check and the form before August 27th, the $500 from the church would go on my student account, and then Geneva would match it $250 in the fall and $250 in the spring. So that's something that students can do each year if their church is willing and able to support them in that way. We also encourage students to apply for private scholarships. So employers or local clubs or high schools may be a good source of information on those. In addition, Geneva has donors that give endowed scholarships, and we're also notified of scholarship opportunities from local businesses or organizations or national opportunities as well. So as those things come up and we're made aware of them, we email students regularly, and those emails will go to their Geneva account. So again, that's another reason why it's really important for them to review their Geneva email regularly, both for the e-bill notifications and for information about scholarship opportunities. For students that are able to fit it in, working on campus is a great way to earn a little extra money and also to connect with faculty and staff on campus. Students that want to apply for a job can do so through the Career Services website. That website will list what jobs are available, how to apply, what that process looks like, and then students who apply and start working receive a paycheck for their hours worked. So if I came to campus and applied for a job and started working, I would get a paycheck, and then I could use that paycheck to maybe make interest payments on my loans or save money for books for the spring semester, or a variety of things. Use it for travel expenses. So it's a great way to kind of supplement things or get a head start on paying loans back. And again, that whole process is outlined on the Career Services website. They generally post the open positions for the coming year in late August, so I would encourage students to review that at that point or when they come to campus. And even if you're not eligible for federal work study, you can still apply for a job on campus because Geneva pays the vast majority of our students through our own college funds. And so both students that get federal work study and all other students are welcome to apply. This is a screenshot of the student employment website through Career Development. And again, that's where students can go to see the current on-campus job opportunities. And again, that should be updated in late August for opportunities in the coming year. Okay, so we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about health insurance. Geneva does require full-time students to be covered under a health insurance plan. So what will happen is that we will automatically charge your student unless you complete the waiver form. The waiver is available at universityhealthplans.com/Geneva, and that deadline is August 31st. So you may see that charge on your account in late June, early July. But all you have to do is go to that website before August 31st, complete the waiver form if you have insurance through your family or another source, and that charge will be removed. We'll talk a little bit more about the waiver process on the next slide. But basically, you select Geneva College and you click on the waiver form link. And it's important to know that this is an annual process. So even though you complete the waiver this year, next year you'll be billed for the insurance again, and you'll need to complete a new waiver. The cost for the insurance, for those of you that do need to take the college insurance, is $1,677 for this academic year. So you would be billed for that as a part of your fall semester balance, and then coverage runs from August 1st, 2018 to July 31st, 2019. And any questions about what the insurance covers or anything related to the policy in detail can be directed to the University Health Plans website. And if you have additional follow-up questions that aren't covered on there, feel free to let us know and we will direct you to the right person. So when you're going to that website to complete the waiver process, if you have your own health insurance, you'll need to have several things with you. Your date of birth, student ID number, the name of your insurance company, and group or policy and member ID numbers, what type of insurance it is, and the subscriber name, city, and state. So again, once you complete that waiver process within a few days, that charge should come off your student account. And if you have follow-up questions on that, feel free to let us know. Some families are wondering about parking permits. For students that want to bring a car to campus, the cost is $80 for all students in the coming year. And the way that you would apply for that is to go online through your My Geneva account and click on the parking permit link. You'll need to pay for that parking permit when you apply for it online, and then you'll receive the permit in your campus mailbox. Again, this is an annual process as well, so once you buy a permit this year, it's good for this academic year, and then you'll need to do the same thing again next year if you're returning. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, but just wanted to recap a little bit and give you a slide that has a lot of important dates. And again, these are helpful to maybe put in your phone or on your calendar and to keep on your radar. So by July 1st, you should receive a fall e-bill if you are registered, and your financial aid will show on that e-bill as long as you've accepted it and completed all of the documents that we've requested. That fall e-bill is due by August 10th. And so either you've paid out of pocket by then, or you've had a loan approved, or you've enrolled in the payment plan. By August 31st, you would need to complete the insurance waiver if you have your own coverage. And coming up quickly, October 1st is when you would begin filing the FAFSA for the next academic year. So it's hard to believe you'll just barely be underway in the fall semester, and it's time to start everything all over again. So filing the FAFSA for 1920 if you plan to be enrolled next year. Keep that on the radar for October 1st. And it's best to file, sometime between October 1st and December 1st is helpful. Speaking of December 1st, that's when we will send out the spring e-bill notification for any students that are registered for spring, and that bill will be due January 2nd. So the turnaround time is a little quicker, but hopefully, after going through this in the fall, you'll know what to expect, and you can access that e-bill in early December and make plans to pay by January 2nd. By now, you probably have noticed that financial aid can change. We've had a change in the federal Pell Grant regulations already, a change in the state grant estimate. And as you let us know of changes to maybe your major or your housing status, all of those things can change financial aid. In addition, some students change classes, which could impact their charges. So there's a lot of moving parts until we send any updates or changes to your bill on a bi-monthly basis. So again, be sure to watch your Geneva email, and we will send you updates anytime a change is made. And the reason that we keep emphasizing the August 10th due date and checking your Geneva email is because we really want to help students plan carefully and avoid any past due balances. You may wonder, well, what will happen if I don't pay by August 10th? And there are several things. We may cancel registration if your bill isn't made on time. We wouldn't permit you to register for any future classes because we don't want you to accrue any more charges that you may not be able to pay. We would withhold transcripts or diplomas if you haven't paid your balance, and eventually students that have unpaid balances are sent to collections, and that has an impact on their credit history long term. And so anything we can do to help avoid that is what we want. So again, if you have any concerns about paying on time or any questions about all of your options, please contact us. That's why we're here, and we're happy to help talk through any of the questions that you have. Okay, so occasionally, instead of a debit balance or a balance due, you may find that you have a credit balance, and that happens for a couple of reasons. Maybe August 10th comes around and you pay your bill and you're all set, and then you find out you got another scholarship, or maybe you got your loan in place and later you realize, oops, I applied for too much in loan money. Those things would create a credit balance, and we want to get that back to you as soon as we can. So we generally process those by paper check unless you sign up for direct deposit. You can sign up for direct deposit for any credit balance through your Nelnet account. So again, when you get that first e-bill notification, you can enroll directly through there for what we call student choice refunds. And again, that just allows us to direct deposit any credit balance directly to your bank account rather than processing a paper check, which could take longer or get lost in the mail or any number of things. So we would encourage you to sign up for the direct deposit. There are detailed instructions on our website. And this is a good reminder that leads into our discussion about textbooks. Some families may think, oh, I'm going to apply for additional loan money, and that's how I'll pay for my books this semester. It's important to know that credit balances are processed to the student in the third or fourth week of class. So if you do apply for a loan, that credit balance won't be available until about a month after the student actually needed to start reading and using those books. So we would highly recommend that you save money throughout the summer to pay for textbooks rather than relying on financial aid or loan money, because again, credit balances are processed to the student about a month after classes start. We always encourage students, instead of taking refund checks or taking that credit balance money, that if they've borrowed student loans to pay down their loans instead. So if you ever find yourself with a credit balance and you think, oh, I don't really need that money, I should use it to pay down my loan, feel free to let us know. You can complete the loan adjustment form on our website or contact us, and we're happy to walk you through the process and guide you on which loan might be best to pay down first. Okay, so back to textbooks. It depends a lot on major or on what type of book you're going to get, whether it's new or used. But we estimate about $400 to $500 per semester is what you might need for textbooks. And again, that can vary widely depending on your courses and how you plan to handle that. But a reminder that they cannot be charged to your student account. So every school handles that differently, but here at Geneva, you need to pay for your textbooks out of pocket and they aren't charged or billed to your account. We suggest that students, again, try to save money from a summer job if they can. You can log into our campus bookstore and have your schedule in front of you and see what textbooks the faculty are requiring. You could then see if a library has them or if you can borrow someone's copy or find them through our bookstore or any other vendor as well. So that's a way to kind of be prepared and to start estimating is to have your schedule in front of you and view the list on our campus bookstore's website. Okay, many of you may know that paying college tuition and qualified expenses may help you gain a tax credit. There's some information on our website that explains the tax credits and also the 1098-T form. That form is one that the IRS requires us to file for students who are eligible to receive one. You may receive a copy to help with your taxes, but depending on how much aid you have or what your charges are, you may not if we're not required to provide one. So at tax time, if you have questions about that, there's a lot of helpful resources on our website again. This can be complicated because you may not need the form or you may need it but haven't received it. And our website will give you more information on why that may be and what you can do. So we just wanted to kind of put that out there and let you know that we will provide those for students that are eligible to receive one, and that generally happens in early February. I mentioned this earlier, but just to reiterate, on July 10th, we will have another webinar at 7 p.m. And we'll talk about options to fund the gap. So by then, you will have had your e-bill notification and you hopefully an opportunity to log in and see the student account and know what that gap might look like for the semester. So we'll talk through the loan options that I mentioned earlier, some different benefits that private lenders offer, like cosigner release, how to decide between variable and fixed interest rates, making sure that you and parents and students understand what they're borrowing, and some ideas on how to save money in the long run when you're borrowing student loans. So we hope that you can join us for that webinar. It's great if students and parents can listen together and be well informed, and you can register today at geneva.edu/webinar. So that brings us to the end of the content that I had prepared, but what we'll do now is take about a minute to review the questions that have been submitted. And so for those of you that want to hang on, we'll just put you on a brief hold and we'll be back in touch in about a minute or two. We'll go through the questions that have been submitted. For those of you that can't stick around or find that we don't answer your question, feel free to email us or give us a call. We're happy to help guide you through this process. And we thank you so much for taking time out of your day, your evening to join us, and we hope that it was helpful. I would also ask that if this was helpful, to send us an email and let us know. And that will help us plan for next year. We'll know what kinds of questions need to be addressed and if this kind of channel to distribute the information is helpful and beneficial for you. So thank you again, and we'll be back with you in just a moment. Okay, thanks to everyone who submitted questions. I'll just take them one by one. We just have a few at this point, but hopefully they'll be helpful for everyone that's still listening. One of the questions was about the church match scholarship, and the parent wondered, do they still need to fill out a form? Their church already sent the money to Geneva. If we haven't received the form from the church yet, we wouldn't put the match on, so it's important that we have both the form and the check. I will get back to you individually, the parent who asked the question, and let you know if we have both. But in general, we do need the form and the check in order to add the match. Another parent asked if the Parent Plus loan is a good option. It can be, but it also can be pretty expensive. Like I said, the interest rate is just over 7% for any parent that's approved, and the fee is over 4%. So it is a more expensive option generally than a private loan. Private loans don't have fees, but they could have a comparable interest rate. It could also be higher or lower. So my general advice would be if you have good credit as the parent, it might be best to apply for a private loan and see what kind of rate you get and then compare it to the plus loan rate and fees. But we're happy to talk through that with you a little bit further. For some parents, the plus loan is really the only option if they don't have good credit. But again, it can be pretty expensive with that 7% interest rate and 4% or a little bit higher fee. So it's important to consider that carefully. And again, the parent is the borrower on that loan, so it can never be transferred to the student. So I would just advise you to consider what would repayment look like for you, and would that impact, your plans for retirement or any future financial goals that you have. But again, we're happy to talk through that with you. And the webinar on July 10th will discuss a lot of that in more detail. So great question. Another parent asked us to spend a minute talking through how to transfer money from a 529 account. A 529 account is an educational savings account. So some families have saved throughout their child's growing up for college in an educational savings account or a 529 plan. To transfer money to us, what you would need to do first is contact your investment company. You would let them know when you get the e-bill at the end of the month and how much you want to transfer. So you initiate that with your investment company, and then they may request some documentation from you, a copy of the bill or what's called a W-9 form. If you need a copy of the W-9 form, feel free to email us and we can provide that. But again, you would just initiate the transfer from your investment account, and they generally send a check directly here to the college, and they request a copy of the student's bill in a lot of cases. So you could print that from their student account online, or if you need anything different, feel free to let us know, and we're happy to provide that. Generally, that's done on a semester by semester basis. So I would recommend when you get the fall e-bill, initiate that transfer right away, because it does take a few weeks sometimes to get the money here. If you find that there's delays with your investment company or you're not sure it will arrive by the August 10th deadline, let us know and we can talk through that as well. All right, I think that we have answered all the questions that you had at this point. So again, I hope this time was helpful for you. If you can just send a quick email and let us know any feedback that you have, we would love to hear from you. So thanks again so much for participating, and have a great evening.